All right, so I'm Mike Agnew, and my project is Ticket Terminal. And what Ticket Terminal is it's essentially it's a buying and selling platform for tickets, sporting events, concerts. But that's the idea. That's not what I'm making open source. What's open source is something called, well, right now it's called BizNet, and it's what makes Ticket Terminal tick. And essentially what BizNet is it's the framework behind Ticket Terminal, and it's really what's being made open source, and it's probably what I should rename my project. It's I just didn't have a name for it yet. I had the idea and started the coding, and now I'm specifically working on this as a book. What BizNet is essentially it's I like to call it's management software. Essentially, it's a solution for data management for any business needs. So in Ticket Terminal's example, it's data management for selling tickets. But I kind of want to focus it on like other types of business, like small businesses. What it does is it uses relational databases to store all of its data, specifically using MySQL databases. It's powerful and game-changing, and it uses what's called customer relationship management software. That's essentially what is a part of it. And what that is it allows the business to actually become customer-centric, which means they're interacting with their customers, and they're actually, because customers are the most important asset for a business, and it's actually very expensive for companies to gain new customers, and by having this kind of capabilities, it allows a company to retain customers instead of constantly lose them. And then what essentially will happen is it'll become cloud-based, so you release it on the cloud, and each company gets their own little database all set up and customized. And it will also serve as an e-commerce solution, setting up front ends for like online front ends, like Yahoo websites that they have set up for their Yahoo online shops. And then most importantly, it's the framework's open source. So I guess first I'd like to show you some graphs based on small businesses. 31% of small businesses will survive 7 years, and then 44 surviving 4 years, and then only 69% will survive at least 2 years. So it's a lot of businesses will fall out, and there's about a 50% chance of failing in 5 years. And so this is another one where it's you notice that it's very close lines between how many are established and how many close down in that year. So it's kind of like staying static. We're not gaining anything. Like, it's very gradual. So for every 100 businesses, there will be about 95 existing businesses closed down, which it's not a very good-looking number in terms of what we want, because we want growth. And so we ask why. More specifically, why are they shutting down? A big part of it is they can't make payments, and that in itself is a huge problem. You shouldn't. Having like a store for a small business is expensive, and then they're also very unorganized, which is another big problem with businesses. Small businesses are not organized. Even large businesses are unorganized. They use tons of time-wasting, money-wasting systems. Like you have a marketing department entering stuff in Excel spreadsheets. You have HR using Access databases, and you have to communicate in a very slow and inefficient way. And this is stuff that happens in actual large corporations. Like, this isn't just small ones. Small ones don't even have this sort of thing. They might not even have this organization. And then they only have one source of income. For like small businesses, they just have their shop, which they could reach a much bigger market if they moved into the online. And then it's expensive to operate. And they also don't have what's called business-to-business integration, which I'll explain in a second. So what we need to know is how can we fix this? And that's with the low-cost assortment of solutions. And so first we need to set up their organization. And through that, we have a database, a business logic layer, and an application layer. And they're all interconnected. It's what's called a three-tiered system. And it's something that's not used a lot in the business world today. But it's a very useful system because you have your database, which in our case is a relational MySQL database with a variety of tables. And they're custom tailored to fit the needs of the client. And then this is what's called the business logic layer. And it's actually a database coded with different triggers and indexes. And it acts as like a middleman for the system. And what essentially it does is instead of coding your business logic like, oh, you can't have this many orders of this product, it's just simple things like that, and like how you can't have, like, there might be restrictions. And instead of coding it in the database or coding it directly in the application, you code it in a third middle layer, and it passes through it. And what the usefulness in that is you don't have to tap into your database or your application. You don't have to change the hard coding of that. This all can remain static. You just change a simple trigger in your business logic layer, and it automatically goes out. So it eliminates that sort of need for doing that. And then the application it will have an intuitive data entry system. So data entry is a big need. Like you need to record a new customer, new employees, just simple online web forms, and they'll be easy to use. And it'll give them good access to their data, like easy access. You can just log in and look at it. And then it'll give them an e-commerce storefront and what's called business-to-business communication capabilities. And what business-to-business communication is, in our case, is like, so say you have a gravestone manufacturing truck, and then you have a granite supplier in Des Moines, Iowa, and they're both linked through BizNet. What we can do is allow them to communicate with each other. It gives them access to suppliers. Instead of having to pick up the phone and look through a list of pages and like trying to find their supplier, we provide them with that simple connection by saying like, as long as you're like linked together, you can find them. So it's kind of like bringing them all together. So you could be in a completely different location, and it gives both companies the business they need in a reasonable amount of time. So in general, so basically in like review, it's open source framework, and it will be a low cost cloud application. So the framework will be released open source completely, and then the business side of it is you release like an annual fee subscription, so where you don't have to host it on your own servers. We would do it on our own, and like you pay like a $30 annual fee or something. And it's low cost for a small business. Like that's not huge, but it's a lot of software that you can use and saves you a lot of time. So the tools we're using MySQL databases, and I'm using a InnoDB storage engine, which gives me the ability to use relational capabilities. So I can link different indexes to each other and form things called many-to-many relationships. And that's the bulk of what I'm doing right now. And then using PHP to interact with it. So for the web-based side of it, it'll pull the information from the database. I use jQuery to make it look nice because I like JavaScripting and jQuery. I like the way it works, and I like its ease of use and the amount of plugins that are available. You can add little nifty features. And then what's interesting is I'll use, this is sort of, I have to develop a testing database first. And this is part of like, I haven't been able to release a lot of code because I'm not coding the database, I'm kind of just building it. But what I can do is release the code, after it's built, release all the code to generate all the tables. So it'll just be like you can run the script. But then what will happen is essentially when a user wants to create a database for their business, it'll give them a variety of options like enter like all your products, or like enter a spreadsheet with all your products, and it'll generate a file which will then I will be developing a script to run an actual, it'll run a script and it will actually take that and generate the database. That's a big part of what I need to make. So as a general timeline, so for June, the first thing will be to develop the testing database using the InnoDB. Then I want to build an intuitive and simple GUI, something that's not confusing, not a lot of layers, just simple click. Like, because this is something designed for all levels of, like computer skills. Like, old lady owning a tea shop in the historical district of town might not have the understanding to really go through all these layers of entry. You want to make it as simple as possible. And then for July, I want to kind of work on security features because security is a very important part to businesses. You don't want to leak, you don't want to leak your customer data. And then I want to work on the database generation using the scripts and everything. For August, I haven't really decided what I'm doing for August yet, but it'll probably end up with a lot of fine-tuning and finding more features to add.
So you said this is open source, but then you're going to have the pay-as-user service. Are you going to run it kind of like Hamachi in that you can download and run your own version if you want to host it, but you can also be paid to host it? Or are you going to run it that you release your code and then they have to pay to actually receive the program?
I want to release the code so that like you can pay a consultant to set up your MySQL server, but you don't have to because it's open source. You can just you don't have to pay for like a MySQL server. It's like that in the sense where we provide the consulting in a way that we can consult. Like I added a concept of like we can consult large businesses, and then like as a consulting for smaller businesses, they can just subscribe, and it's like all automatically set up for them in a just more basic, like consulting is way more customized, but in a basic way. But if you have the ability to you have your own web server, or then you could download it and set it up. This is like the subscription thing is if you don't want to deal with setting it up, which a lot of people don't. You'd be surprised coming from a technology school how many people know absolutely nothing about technology. You'd be surprised.
But yeah, I guess as kind of a follow-up to that question, how does business-to-business networking work if it's not centrally hosted? Is that something you have to, as an end user, put in all the businesses you want to network with?
That would, for that, if you weren't, that'd be like a feature of subscribing, essentially. Like you always add like these specific things. Like that'd be a specific thing like we do for you, and we'd be like, oh, that'd be okay to pay $30 a month for. Because you obviously can't freely host everything because it's expensive to host a bunch of servers. But they could set it up on their own. But if they wanted to just have, if it was a larger company and they knew how to set it up on their own, they could, fill the database of the businesses they do business with, essentially.
You mentioned that you're going to use a relational node database. Have you thought about using ORM or something like that automatically has that built in?
The InnoDB actually does have it built in. I haven't really considered using anything else, essentially because I've been just working with MySQL because it's easy to gain access to.
If you actually use ORM, you could build classes, and it makes it really easy to do many relationships between different things. The PHP, I don't think has it built in, but there's a library that you download.
Yeah, for the many-to-many relationships that I have, I showed an access table a while back. In the way I do it, you can't actually literally just put two tables up and say many-to-many. It's in a way you have so say you have to relate orders to products. So an order can have multiple products, or there's some example. Like, okay, so say I need two things related. You have one table here, and then another table there. So like customers' products, or orders and products. So then you have a table in the middle that's called orders products, and it has the two unique IDs of both, and you essentially do a one-to-many and then a one-to-many, and it acts as a many-to-many. It sends it out.
Yeah, there's a class that already does all that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I can look into it. I guess I've already started setting it up, so it's a little hard to switch off of it. Like I have a many-to-many relationships working already. But yeah, it's good input though. Sure.
Yeah, just for the many-to-many relationship, would you like having something that's basically a friends list, almost, but where it's a friends, it's just different businesses. Instead of having to, have your service hosted, if you find a business that has what you want, you just add it to your list, and then whenever you get an order for one of your products that relies on materials from other businesses, it automatically orders the material.
Yeah, like that could be something that like it's almost like a contact list for your company, or like a supplier list, where it could just be like in the setup phase, just a simple question like, do you have suppliers that you want to add in? Like, then it's all a matter of adding the different fields for what you need, and that's where developing the database takes time, because I do research on like what the needs are, like it requires a lot of business research. So I've been like looking into different needs, and I've been speaking with one of the professors in the management department.
This is more of a comment than a question. So if I understood you right, your site is about like making a new way for small businesses to like manage themselves and also to interact with each other. So I see our project is kind of similar, but for like a different. So our project is called Collective Commerce. We're like basically a voting website. You'll hear more about it in a couple weeks. But anyway, I'm wondering if sometime down the road, if we could potentially like combine our functionality to make like a new way for businesses to run themselves like democratically. So using our voting functionality and your like business management functionality together.
Like sort of like it'd be a way to, because I guess the goal of it is like it'd be like building small businesses, and like this is a way to help sustain them, and like giving them this organization allows them to grow into larger corporations, which we need in today's climate. So like it'd be almost like forming partnerships with small businesses and starting to build up, like incorporating with each other. So that makes sense, like voting on different, like say you have like two businesses that work together or something like that. Yeah.
Right, so we could talk about potential collaboration.
Yeah. Any questions?
So you see, talk with the local businesses, small businesses, etc. So have you?
I haven't talked with small businesses yet. Right now, I like doing paper researches and looking at papers, and just kind of try to find a professor suggested to me that I might consider making different modules for different sectors of business, like for like finance and then agriculture and that sort of thing. So you have different, you could subscribe to different modules or something like that. But yeah, I plan on trying to talk to businesses in the future. I just want to have I kind of want to have a little bit of a prototype developed before I do that. But I definitely want to work with the community first.
Get the feeling of who will use your software, right?
Yeah.
Either one is some big companies use